My name is Giacomo, and I'm from Italy, from Milan, where I spent let's say most part of my life. I'm a mechanical engineer. I study mechanical engineering university in Milan, and I've spent the last 5 years working in the mechanical engineering field, more specifically in the power generation sector. I lived in Asia for quite a few years. Back in high school, I finished high school in Bangkok, and I did an experience during university, an exchange. It was a double degree program in Shanghai, Tongji University, and now I find myself in Hong Kong doing my MBA in HKUST. So before my MBA in HKUST, I was the head of engineering of this small company in south of Milan, close to Piacenza. The company was mainly a manufacturing company, so they were building mechanical components for the big, let's say, power generation companies such as Siemens, General Electric. And as I said, they were mainly a manufacturing company. So when I was hired, my goal was to build the engineering department, to switch from a mainly manufacturing company to a more sophisticated and let's say a company that also could offer clients the engineering part, the design part, and more, let's say, a technical support to our clients. So I spent 3.5 years in the company, and it was really, let's say, it was a big challenge for me, but also it opened to, let's say, it opened my eyes a little bit and gave me the opportunity to explore and to see so many things that at one point I wanted to make this big change and to go and study, to get an MBA, to understand better how companies work, and let's say more the business side of of companies, let's say, yeah. So mainly, as I said, I spent the last 5 years in my working career as an engineer. So especially the first 2 years, I was mainly doing engineering-related tasks. So very specific, very technical, a lot of calculations, simulations, and so in the last 3 years, I was more in contact with clients, and I had to develop, let's say, these departments in my company. So it was more strategic, let's say, and still it was technical, because then I had to offer different products. I had to develop different products. I had to give technical support to clients. But then, let's say, from the company perspective, it was first of all, it was a big change, and second of all, there was no clear path to it. So I had this experience where, let's say, building something from scratch gave me the opportunity to see different parts of the business, and for this reason, I had the willing to, I wanted to find out more about it, and let's say this is why the MBA, I think, was the next step for me. Like, after having this experience, having a structured approach to how a business works and how to build something, how to build a company, or how companies in general work. I think it was like the reason why I wanted to start an MBA, to get an MBA. Yeah. So I spent a few years in Asia. I finished high school in Bangkok, and then I did this double degree program with Tonjin University. It was a joint, I don't know, it was a degree between my university back in Milan, Politecnico di Milano, and Tonjin University in Shanghai. So I spent also there 1 year, a little bit more than a year. I really enjoy Asia in general, and I like the chaoticness of the of the Asian cities. So I really wanted to come back, and I had really good experiences, and I'm having a really good experience here as well. So this is the main reason why. Let's say I had two choices, because probably Singapore or Hong Kong were the two best choices for Asia to get an MBA. But then Singapore, let's say, is not my type of city. It's I don't know. Maybe it's too. I wouldn't know how to say it, but let's say that Hong Kong is more my type. Is more chaotic. It's more vibrant. It's more alive, let's say, in my opinion. And so that, it was, let's say, an easy choice then. I think the value added for an engineer and an MBA for an engineer is really big. Because engineers are famous for their structured approach, and they're really focused. I mean, I get it, because after 5 years, after 10 years, 7 years, whatever, of engineering, which is many times you're building something that doesn't have to break, or I mean, it is a tough job, but then. You don't have that mindset where you see, let's say, a problem from a broader perspective. So you kind of work in a company, but you don't really know how it works. And I'm learning now during my MBA that how complex and how different strategy affect your company, and like very important decisions have to be made. And so I think for an engineer, the value added is really big, because it gives you that mindset where you really understand how your job affects the company. And then it's everything. I guess everything also is new, so it's a lot of fun, because every day it's you just talk, you learn something that you didn't really know, or you haven't learned in university or during your working career. One thing that you usually hear about MBAs is that obviously it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and especially it's a lot of work with other people. So you always work in a team, and which is a good thing, because you learn how to work with people from different backgrounds. And it's tough, because then everyone has a different mindset, everyone has a different background, so it's not that easy to. First of all, you need to know the people at the beginning, especially, like, you don't really know who you're working with. Then later on, I guess it gets easier and easier, but then at the beginning it's quite tough to understand who who is better at what, and like how to work with different people or different nationalities. But yeah, that's a really big point for an MBA, how to work in teams, and not just a team of engineers, but it's a team of people that worked in marketing or in strategy or banking or a hedge fund or PE company. So like you have so many different people and then every time you have a different team, and it's a lot of fun and and it's tough as well. So I think that the MBA is changing me also. I think has changed and is changing me, mainly on how I approach a problem and how I approach people. So this is, I don't know if it's just related to me because I've been working, but I guess it's related to a lot of engineers. They usually engineers, they work with engineers. That's how it works usually. And so that's the big thing is now I have to work with different people from different backgrounds. So that's one how I let's say I had to change my approach, which was quite standardized before. When I had just one kind of species, one kind of person, the engineering species. But now I have to, I change a little bit, like how I approach different people and how I work with them. And then second, I guess another thing that changed me a bit in the MBA is how I see and how I approach different problems. So obviously the MBA is only 1 year, and so you can really dive deep into each subject. But then it gives you a very clear, I think, view of different topics and how they are all related to each other. So that gives you a very broad perspective, and it changes you a little bit how you think about a problem, how you think about your task at work, and how you can improve in certain areas, that how these changes will affect the company and the people you work with. Yeah, this is a tough question. I mean, I'm loving it now. So I would suggest it to every engineers. I perfectly understand that not everyone is interested in doing an MBA, but then it gives you really like. The MBA gives you a lot in terms of not a lot of knowledge, obviously, because as I said, you can really dive too deep into some subjects as I was used to when I was in university. So like everything was really, you just get into the problem, into the subject as deep as you can. Now it's more broad, but I think in this way you really get the big picture, and you get the big picture, and it changes you because you start thinking in a different way, and it's always, I think it's always good to change your mindset sometimes. So I would suggest it after a few years of work experience. I would really suggest it to engineers, and not only engineers, a lot of people from different backgrounds.